Welcome back, Crypto Trend Trader, with a quick update on Bitcoin. Before we get started, I'd like to remind you it's not financial advice. I'm not your financial advisor. These markets are extremely volatile, so please do your own research and trade responsibly. Alright, so here we got the 4-hour chart on Bitcoin. This one is Coinbase. And as you'll see, after we got that dump down here, all we did was we just leveled back out on this same support level in this same little range that we were in before that stab up. So essentially what that kind of looked like to me was a spring, an attempted push up that got like a strong rejection, and then we just leveled right back out on like our previous support zone that we had formed. And essentially what that support was is that was like the support resistance flip that we had previously been experiencing. So when we broke through here, we came back down, we tested at a support, tried to push higher, couldn't get any higher, came back down, but we didn't get rejected any lower than the previous support area we were in. Now, what it looked like to me, though, and this is why I stayed in my short position and am still currently in my short position, is after we sold off down here, I would expect there to be like, part of the candle to get bought up, part of the wick or body to get bought up, you know what I mean, and give a wick. And then consolidating that range, I would expect us then to test up and down essentially to see, which direction the market is stronger in. And try to provide some liquidity for like the larger positions that got trapped from this higher level here. So as soon as we sold off down here and we found support on the 50s, I would expect essentially like whenever you see a sell-off like this and then it gets bought up, that looks like a bullish candle to me. That big wick on it, it's a strong rejection to the downside where the price was forced back up, okay? And then we got another one right afterwards. So that's essentially like 3 tests of the same area. Well, now look, the candles are bullish because the wick is so big on the bottom here and the body is so much smaller and to the upside, and then there's almost no price getting pushed to the upside, rejections. So this looks like rejections to lower prices, but what it looks like was actually forming as far as chart pattern is, this looks like a descending triangle. This looked like a descending triangle. The price was barely going back up, and it was each time it was going back up, it was going less. And then every time it was selling off, somebody was buying it back up to this moving average. So that looked like someone was defending the price. Like essentially, it was like a buy wall. It was essentially like distribution taking place in here, and then a buy wall pushing the price back up. But instead of just like a solid buy wall in the books, someone was actively just, or an algorithm or whatever, trader, whatever it is pushing the price back up above the 50 moving average. And then finally we got the stab down right here, retest it one more time, and then that's a stop hunt. Push it straight up to the upside, that's a stop hunt. I mean, that's all that is. That just clear out the books for basically, anybody that had their stop loss in a bad position. 4% is just enough to like, somebody opens a position near the bottom right here, gets stopped out, highly leveraged or illiquid markets. Some of the exchanges move even more than that, but essentially, when it's all said and done, after that takes place, where did we end up? We end up just right back in the same area. So we're just back here in the same range. And essentially the bottom side of the range is that 84.70. And I mean, it's exact depending on what exchange you look at. And then the top of the range, I mean, depending on how you want to call it, but it's basically 8,800. And that's what we were talking about in our last video. We were expecting to break, after we broke down, we took the short up here at 92. After we broke down, what we were expecting to happen is basically price would get a bounce range in this area, but we were expecting it to come back up to the breakdown point and test that as resistance. And that's basically what we got yesterday. That 8,800 was the breakdown point up here. We retest that, found it as resistance, and now we're selling off since then. So now what it looks like is about to happen right here, it looks like it's about to start rolling over and then sell back off, and then we're going to get the test of the 89. Which right now is coming in at 84.25. So 84.25 looks like the next target here as soon as we lose the 50 and the 55. And again, I'm seeing a lot of people in this space get awfully bullish, and I just don't think it's quite the time. I don't think it's the time for that. I mean, we're so close to having confirmations, confirmed breakout and movement of the trend. It just doesn't make any sense to jump the gun this close to having confirmation. And now if we pull up our fibs here and we take the fib from the top here at 9,200 and we fib it back down to our sell-off right here at the 84.50 range, you'll see that we essentially got the bounce back up to the 382, sold back off, tried to come up, couldn't get back to the 0.5 in orange right here. So it's still possible that we could easily get a move all the way back up to like 89.20 or something like that, realistically to like the 618, threaten the parabolic SAR in the 4 hour, and then if we don't take that out, we could sell back off and then end up breaking down to a new low. But at this point in time, we really don't even need to come down to a new low because the 89 is getting slowly pushed up here. So we could just come down here and find support at the same area again. So at this point in time, I mean, nothing's really been happening over the last few days. It's important that we watch what's happening with the oscillators in relation to price action. And again, everybody's getting awfully bullish here, but when I look at these oscillators and I look at the longer time frames, it looks worse. We sold off here. We basically got this head and shoulders attempted reversal. Got a nice little pop up. We hit the measure move exactly. Came up, got rejected by the 200 SMA. And now we're getting ready, to essentially take out the parabolic SAR on the daily. And typically, when we take out that parabolic SAR, it means we're going to get like, anywhere from, 3 days to months worth of price action. And then we're getting the hard sell on the TJD, TD, MACD, or I'm sorry, on the Jewel Thief. And then the TJD, TD, MACD. We're now in our fourth day, of red on the histogram. And we all know that the second week is the shorting signal on this, and then obviously with that hard sell right here, the last thing I would be doing right now is taking long positions. Again, that's not financial advice. I'm not your financial advisor, but I mean, look at this situation right here. We got back on top of the 200, stayed on top of it for a couple weeks, and then just slowly sold off and rolled over. And now we had that powerful move up here, and we didn't even get on top of the 200 SMA. So, again, everybody's getting awfully bullish, but, it wasn't that long ago. If we look back here at this exact signature, the exact same signature right here, broke down below it, you know what I mean? Broke down below it, got up above it, couldn't maintain, sold down below it. Broke down below it, got above it, couldn't maintain, sold down below it. We came down all the way down here below the 377 and 528 in depending on which case you're looking at. But when we got our support, when we finally found that support off that bottom and we rallied back up, we couldn't even get above the 200 SMA. Find that support, rally back up, couldn't even get above the 200 SMA. So if we start to get rejected right here, what I would expect to happen is we come all the way back down here to that 6600 range, and we start retesting the bottom again. And then, same thing again. Each bounce is going to be just a little weaker than the last, and that's all that's been happening. We've just been breaking down to a new area, bouncing back up, testing it as resistance, breaking down to a new area, bouncing back up, testing it as resistance. All this is, we broke down from right here. This was our breakdown area. We retested it and failed to get back above the breakdown area. So we broke down lower. Came back here, we retested the breakdown area. This was our breakdown area again. We broke down from the breakdown area, retested it, failed to get above it. And now what do I expect to happen? We're going to break down again if we fail to get above it. And then we're going to come back up, and this next time when we do it, it comes back up, doesn't get above the SMA, but it gets above the EMA. This time when we come back up, we're not even going to be able to get above the EMA or maintain above the EMA. And it's slowly just going to get dragged down. And that looks like exactly what's going to happen. If we break down below here again, we're just going to bounce back up, and then we're going to find it very hard to get above that 8200 range. And, again, people are just be careful who you're listening to, because I see, I don't watch a ton of analysts, but I try to catch a little something here, a little something there, hear what people are talking about. And, most of these people I'm seeing are like changing their tune every day, or getting bullish at the end of the bull moves and bearish at the end of the bear moves. So pay attention to who changes, who changes their mind every day, and who changes their mind after price action, versus technical analysis is about, risk reward management, position sizing, and predictive price action based on previous, essentially like patterns, price action patterns. All these people are coming in after the fact and talking about moves and this, that, and the other. And I hear people getting awfully bullish based on like, fundamentals. Not a good idea. Not a good idea. Let's trade the charts and let's trade the trend. And the trend is still down, and the charts are still telling us down. We need to get back on top of that SMA and start consolidating. And even then, we have to be careful, because we could end up with a situation like this that we just break down from. So Jewel Thief is giving us that hard sell signal. Got to be careful in a situation like that. Now, it could work out to something like this where we consolidate, stay in this area and then get a powerful break up. And, we'll see that in the price action well before it happens. I mean, this was weeks of price action before we broke through. You know what I mean? So I think in all reality, we would see like weeks of price action and continually be testing around the SMA before we get a break. And we could easily do that. It's very likely that over time that we are able to do something like that. A little bit of our longer time frame technical analysis. There we have it, guys. Crypto Trend Trader, Bitcoin technical analysis, and I'm signing off.